thank you guys for having me. And I originally was just excited to be a part of this event as a participant. And then Eric said, why don't you just jump on stage and say a little something? So I have my very informal notes, and I don't want to, we gotta stay on time. So I'm gonna make it nice and brief. But I appreciate you so much for having me jump on and talk about what I do. And a lot of you guys I've met. I'm so excited to talk to more and meet more of you guys. So my name is Katherine Shai. I wrestled for Team USA. I lived in Colorado Springs at the training center 2010 to 2016. After the 2016 Olympic trials, was in my athlete midlife crisis, we'll call it. I was third at the Olympic trials in 2016 and 2012. And after that, you kind of hit that point where you're like, you're so close. Like, what do I do with life? Like, do I want to keep doing this? All these questions start coming up, whatever stage you're in as an athlete. And of course, your desire to come back, right? Always. But at that time, I decided I wanted to just start writing about my experiences as a Team USA athlete. What was it like? What was it like, being training full time, doing that whole life, and the resources, the things that I realized I didn't really have, or that the girls of the next generation had no access to. Because if you Googled something like what I want to know these questions about women's wrestling or wrestling in general, there's nothing, right? I'm learning from triathletes. Like, what do you eat in between, your rides, okay? So there was nothing available. So I just started writing about my Team USA experiences. And so that continued to evolve for me. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that journey. But so I was really fortunate growing up in the sport of wrestling. My dad wrestled and went through a really incredible path because my dad was pushing women's wrestling. So I got to be around women who were wrestling at a very young age. And so I saw that future. I saw what was possible. And so did he, which was pretty special. Yeah, that's fine. So that, I think that's probably what sparked me to do what I do now. Like, my parents have been in advocacy from the beginning of wrestling. My mom is Joan Fulp, who is the first vice president for USA Wrestling. She is all in advocacy and working towards a better future for wrestling. It's incredible to work with. So that's where LuchaFit sparked. That's where LuchaFit came from. And so I've been working for nearly 10 years on LuchaFit, starting at the beginnings of just evolving, talking about, as I said, my experiences for Team USA as a Team USA wrestler and traveling the world, competing. So now I get to do something really cool, which is creating products that improve athlete performance, coach performance, readiness, and truly fun of wrestling. Okay, what's the thing that sucks the life of the sport and our love from it is the fun. And I had many bouts of that when I was a competitor, and I witnessed the bouts of that and the ups and downs as my own teammates started coaching and seeing wow, there's the aspects that drain us, and how do we keep this fun and high level, right? So and I want to make sure I'm not in the way here. So I got to start doing some really, really fun things, which is creating some products for what I call the triangle of the triangle of wrestling, right? So we've got our athlete side, our parent side, our coach. This is how we bring it all together in the sport of wrestling. It all works cohesively together. The first thing that I got to make, which was really, really fun, was we made a whole course on video analysis. Video analysis became huge for me during COVID, when all of a sudden everything was gone. I was training for the 2021 Olympic trials. And I had no access. I could not come down. I live in Denver now, so I was training in Denver at that time. I could not come down to the training center and get access to the national team coaches. Couldn't get access to the training partners. Video analysis became our whole strategy, basically. And I had never given myself an opportunity to dive into it that deep, because as an athlete, you're just like, let me get on the mat more. Let me just go. So the first product we made was addressing it for all three. Who needs access to this? Parents, coaches, and athletes need access to something like video analysis. And not just, open it up and take a look. We create a whole system on how to actually do it, how to actually analyze it in a way that you are recognizing patterns. So it's so important to be able to have a system around the way that you recognize patterns in wrestling. So it does not, because wrestling is a complicated sport. Okay, there's thousands upon thousands of moves and iterations of moves. We cannot possibly know all of them. We've all forgotten most of the ones we've learned, right, from day one. So having a system around that became really, really powerful for us. And so I wanted to teach more people how to do that. So that was our first venture into that. And then it led to our next product, which was weight management for athletes. And that we launched last year has become a powerful tool for our female wrestlers to have a way that they can tackle weight management, which as the sport is growing for girls, we know that this is going to be powerful. This is something that really needs to be utilized by the coaches. Okay, coaches need a system and a way for the athletes to have something instead of just, I don't know, like, I don't know what's going on right now. I know that you've got some cycles or things are happening. The girls and the coaches need the tool to be able to actually say, here's a step-by-step way for you to manage this. Oh, we're not sure about this weight class, if this is working for you or not. Okay, well, let's use the tool that's in the weight management guide that can tell you if this is the right amount for you to drop. And I know we have our weight certification, we have that tool, but man, we need more tools. We need another step, we need another layer, because for a lot of our wrestlers, we're hoping that they wrestle beyond just high school season, right? We need them to understand weight management all year round, right? Not just in a couple months. So that was our next really powerful tool that we created for parents. Create a guide that helps them be an asset for their athlete, not feel like a burden, not feel like they don't know what to say. So create a tool for them to have some access to, man, I'm new to this sport, what do I do? Or I'm a veteran in this sport, I've been around this sport forever, but I never said the right ththings. I never helped them through the right moments. So create a guide for that. And then for coaches, probably one of my actually most fun products that we've created right now is the Play to Win guide. That has the Play to Win guide. It's a 50-page guide, and so it's bringing play into practice, but it's not just games, not just like we're going to play tag. It's the type of movement and games that actually develop our athletes. And upon recognizing the way that I started training my athletes one-on-one, because I work one-on-one with athletes now, I do clinics and events. Every time I was in a sticky situation where I could not teach an athlete something properly, or they could not figure out the movement, I had to turn it into play. I'm like, scratch that, forget the technique, this is not working. I'm gonna make it a game, or I'm gonna take something out of the picture. So now you have to work through the situation in a game sort of way, or you have to work through the situation so you're creative and you're learning. So for me, it's become really powerful to teach athletes these movement mechanics, especially for girls, as we're seeing some injuries, common injuries come through. We have to make sure that we're developing them from the beginning with body mechanics. And so that guide really bridges the gap for athletes who need that. And then, of course, our elite level athletes who are like so good and so good at what they do, but they cannot bridge the next gap that they need. I think play is the thing that takes it to the next level. So yeah, next slide. Keep getting out of the way. Which brings me into the really, probably my bread and butter of what I love to do, which is teaching about performance, competition preparation. And that brings it all together for me. I strongly think that all these pieces, weight management, how you play and perform at practice, how you bring it into competition, how do you bring playfulness into your competition day, because it's high stress, high intensity, your body and your mind are literally flying into fight or flight. How do we bring those components into the way we prepare our athletes? So that comes all together with what I created, which is the Unstuck Wrestler. And the Unstuck Wrestler was a program that I ran last year during season. And let me check my notes here, as I've totally gone off my notes. So what it's done is given us an opportunity to take the athletes through a whole season of how do we get ourselves ready in different phases of the season. How do we prepare ourselves so that we are understanding the components of our identity in wrestling, why we're doing what we're doing, who we are in the sport so that we can kind of transcend all the noise that shows up, all the different things that, kind of pull us out of love for wrestling. We get fixated on the win. We get fixated on how we are not doing our technique perfect. And we got to come back to what helps us perform really well. That's what I love teaching. I love taking the components of sports psychology that I learned from my sports psychologist, from other mental performance specialists, from spirituality. All these things come together to help that athlete really transcend to be the best performer for that day. So what I did in the Unstuck Wrestler is that I put everybody in 3 categories. I wanted them to have a way to see their own progress. And what was cool about this was we had reactive athletes. So those are like our emotional driven, confidence fluctuates. They need more structure. They need more reassurance. They need a little more hand holding. That was our kind of mid-range to lower amount. I think 35% was reactive, 60% was intentional. Okay, that's our reflective, motivated. They're a little more intentional about what they're doing. They start developing consistency. They're kind of that athlete that you're like, yeah, you know what to do. Like you're pretty good. You're pretty consistent. You know what you're doing, but we still need a whole lot of support to get you to the next level. And then our flow state competitors, those are our next level athletes. Those are that, overall that 1% athlete kind of thing, right? Calm, confident, composed, self-directed. They thrive under challenge. So I think if you guys right now could think about your teams and the athletes you work with, you probably could put them in each category, right? You probably have in your mind like who fits in each category. And what I found, the flow state athletes were about 4% of the group. It was a very small amount. Essentially, I think I had nobody in high school that was a flow state athlete. Maybe there was one. Primarily college athletes that were in that group. And and also not underclassmen, only the upperclassmen. So it kind of shows like where that experience level has to be. And they've taken that time to be intentional. And I really think that was not unique to that group. I think that's what it looks like across the board. And what was incredible, and we can jump to the 3rd slide. What was incredible is that after we had 180 athletes in the program, that's amongst individuals and teams. And what was incredible was everyone jumped up a level. So everyone who took their exit survey, they all jumped a level. Let me switch that. Everyone improved their score. Everyone improved their score, and 80% jumped a level. So if you were a reactive athlete, you went up to intentional. If you were an intentional athlete, I had quite a few that actually jumped the level to flow state. And I would say the only reason it was about 80% that changed was because it's kind of a big jump. Like our intentional athletes, they were at the bottom of intentional and maybe went to the top. And our flow state, if you were already in flow state, you had nowhere else to go. Like you're just improving your score, or you're staying in the same category. And I thought that was such a powerful example of once we place a system in their hands, they knew what to do with it. Once they had a system around how to manage the nerves, manage their competition, their energy throughout the day, they had somewhere to go with it. So, and what the Unstuck Wrestler really, really addresses, we're talking about performance anxiety, mental blocks, the energy management. That's my favorite part. I love talking about energy management because and my favorite example is the nervous pacing, right? I saw at Colorado State this year. I saw a couple girls who were prepping. I didn't know what weight they were. And man, they paced for like an hour. And I was like, someone tell them to sit down. Tell them, sit down. One of my athletes, I thought it was so funny when she got into finals her freshman year. She'd been very nervous. She was one of the upper weights, and she was very nervous. And I told her, well, when you go out there, because it's very long, right? Like the whole entrance is very long, and the announcing, they have all the different mats they have to announce. And if you're out there first, you're waiting for every single other mat for them to call out the athletes, right? And I told her, I was like, when you get out there, go sit down in the chair. Like, just please sit down. Like, you need to sit down. like center your energy. When you're ready, you stand up, you do your shake, you do your bounce, like whatever you need, sit down again. And then her coaches, or like some of her teammates, they were laughing because they're like, why is she sitting in the coach's chair? Like, what is going on? Why is she doing it? They just thought it was really funny. Like she was like claiming the space or something, or relaxing. Like she was chill. And I was like, no, she was not chill. We were intentionally managing her energy, because for hours before that, she had been like all over the stadium, like nervous energy, and she just needed to channel that. So those are the types of things that we address, because I love that. And on top of that, the final part is coaches and parents having something that they can kind of rest their laurels on, like have something that they can actually, they have cues, they have guidance, they have ways to help their athletes through those moments, because they're taking the reins on the journey. So I'm gonna finish there, because I could keep talking forever, but I'm very excited to hopefully chat with all you guys today. If there's any questions now, I can answer those, or maybe after, probably Eric, questions later, so we can pop through things.
Yeah, if you're staying, we'll have some Q&A, but I have a little gift for you.
Ooh.
So we have our leadership coin. So you can earn our leadership coin if you significantly impact our program for the better. So without Katherine joining in, and NSCA and NWCA joining in, we don't get to start an event like this, where my plan is I'd like to have 5 or 6 of these a year, and we rotate it through. So we have different keynotes and different emphasis, whatever the case may be. You may know someone going, I want to have in the weight room with NSCA, and I want them to show me how to do lifts that help with wrestlers. Our strength and conditioning coach, they know him. He came back. He wrestled D1 at Lock Haven, and he's well respected in the community. Maybe that's the keynote next time you come down and go, these are the lists for wrestlers. And he also has it separated for female wrestlers and male wrestlers. So it's broken down like that. And then whatever else you want, you go, hey coach, could we get this? I think between the people in this room, we probably know everyone, at least in the wrestling community. Seriously, at least with 1 or 2 degrees of separation. So if you go through our leadership program, which I'll talk more about later, and you earn team captain in our program, you get this coin. The first course, you get a pack leader coin. I'll show that later. And then when you complete it, you get the gold coin. And people who significantly impact and help us move the sport forward, move leadership forward, be the example for everyone. I just want to say thank you. This is from me to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's so cool. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that.
We'll be following